what's going on, everybody? This is Romey-Mak. Welcome to another episode of the Interview with Rome. Today's guest, I have author of Bits and Pieces, the novel, Don Hosmer. And we're going to get into a lot of questions. We're going to get to know who is Don. We're going to get to know about the book. We're going to know about a few other things and how we like our coffee and stuff like that. Of course, without further ado, we bring on Don.
Hi, thanks for having me on today.
Hey, Don. How you doing?
Good. How are you today?
I'm great. We're going, we've been having fun long before we started this podcast, so we're just going to go ahead and continue with that. So I'll open up. What's the weather like right now in Ohio?
It is 32 degrees and it's sunny, so it looks like it's warm out, but it's a liar. So it's really cold. I'm hoping, I was watching the forecast this morning, and it's supposed to get into the 60s this weekend, so my fingers are crossed.
All right. Well, I'm not going to tell you what the temperature is down here in sunny Miami because I don't want the jealousy to start the podcast, but it is probably in the 80s. I'm to be honest with you. I don't.
You just keep that to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Shorts weather out here all day. But then again, some of the Miamians like to wait until it gets 77 degrees to pull out leather jackets. I find it funny. I've lived here for, let's say, 10. It's about 10 years. It's about 10 years living here, and being from Virginia originally, it's pretty funny to see folks bring out leather jackets when it gets early 70s, late 60s out here.
Yeah, because you're used to the cold temperatures. It gets a little bit colder in Virginia, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Like this time of the year, I'll say January time frame is when we get our snow. I remember being in high school, we would get, we have your Christmas break. We come back for like a week of school, and then we'd be out for another week due to snow. That's always, it was always reliable. So if you got like a really cool game for Christmas, you like wondered if you had time to play it, you definitely did for that week while you were out.
Which is great.
Yeah,
as a kid.
Definitely.
Don't get those in Miami, I bet.
Not exactly. I wonder if you get to. I wonder growing up down here if you get out of school for it being too hot. Probably not though.
They should. They need to get Sundays.
Literally Sundays. That is clever.
Yeah.
That is clever as can be right there. Don, we'll go ahead and get into it. Let me ask you. So, who is Don Hosmer? How would you describe her to the world?
That's a complicated question. Well, I'm a mother of 4 kids and a wife. I've been married to my husband Steve for almost 20 years. I have spent my career in social work and recently, within the past 2 years, had to quit working because of my Crohn's disease. Oh. So, that's kind of a blessing and a curse because now I can devote more time to writing, which, thank goodness, I have this time now because I don't know how people who work full-time have the time and energy to write and market themselves. So at first I was sad when I had to leave the workforce, but now I'm like, oh, thank God, because I would not have the time to do everything I needed to do. I'm a lifelong Ohioan. I've lived here my entire life, but I like to travel to other places, and that's pretty much me.
All right. Yeah, they have that. What is it? That amusement park in Ohio is pretty famous.
Cedar Point.
Yeah, Cedar Point. I think one of my I know my kid lives up in Michigan with her mother, and I'm not sure if I don't think they've ever been to Cedar Point, but that's something that I definitely wanted to. I would always hear about my music partner Steve Chubbs. He's from Ohio. He's from Columbus, Ohio, if I'm not mistaken. So he also is an Ohio State fan and Cleveland, not Browns, but Cavaliers fan. And he would always tell me about Cedar Point and how like the rides are pretty cool and stuff like that. So that's something.
We actually went this summer, and I hadn't ridden a roller coaster in 20 years. So
oh wow!
I'm still nervous about it, but I still love them. It was awesome. Now I felt sore for a few days afterwards. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know I could throw my back out on a roller coaster, but I still love them. So
Yeah. You know, we were talking earlier about the whole heights thing. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine with the roller coaster. I can take a roller coaster from here to the moon, and I'd be fine with it. You know, because it's controlled. But
right.
yeah, but that whole being on like the 13th floor and going out on like the balcony and just sitting there looking over, yeah, you can miss me with that. That's not.
Yeah.
I'm not about that life, as they say.
Same here.
Yeah.
No, I hate that first hill on a roller coaster, though. That first one where you're going up so slowly. That one I hate.
The
but
anticipation.
After that, I'm fine.
The anticipation, the blood running through your head as you're leaning back, and it's like how bad is it's gonna be. Like I don't know if you and your family have ever visited to Tampa and gone to Busch Gardens Tampa, but they have this ride called the Shikra spelled, we'll figure out the exact pronunciation later, but from the top you can see the entire city of Tampa, and it's like, yeah, it feels just how it looks when you're when you're going down on that particular roller coaster, but it's fun though. It's fun. It's not as popular that park compared to the likes of course Disney World and Universal.
Right.
But so what that means is that you don't have to wait in line but so long. You don't really have to buy like a fast pass for those rides because no one's really going there anymore. I don't know how long they're going to stay in business, but for now it's good that there's that it's not a line, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll need to do that if we make it down that way again.
Yeah, I think it'd be great, and you guys can go see the Tampa Bay Lightning play the Blue Jackets.
I wonder who would win.
Yeah, I wonder who would be in the audience. That's the question. That's the better question.
Me and my family.
Yeah. And like we had talked, like we had mentioned earlier, like it's just you're not going to expect an area that is predominantly sunny to be about hockey. So, but I mean, it's good. It's good to get out there, just like watch them on ice. I love the game of hockey. Like it took me to play like hockey in a video game to understand how great the game is, like the whole strategy of it, like how hard it is and how fast they're moving for one, and I think I just love it. I love this, like the way how hard it is to score, rather, like for that in soccer. Though soccer and hockey don't get enough credit for how hard it takes to to get a score, to get a goal, and how everybody has to be on the same page to do it.
Exactly. You talk about teamwork.
Yeah, and as we ramble about random stuff from roller coasters to hockey, I'll get us back on with the focus on you, as much as you love to talk about yourself, as you mentioned. But
talk about hockey and roller coasters, we're good.
Yeah, exactly. But why did you start writing? What led you to start writing?
I think even from a young age, I could always express myself better in writing, and writing was always a way to figure out how I felt about something. I'm an overthinker by nature, so if I can pour out all the thoughts rambling through my head and then sift through them, I think it helps me figure out and gain clarity on how I feel. And I think as an adult, I have depression and anxiety, and I write pretty dark things. And it just recently I realized that I think I do that as a way to process some of the things I'm anxious about, or the things that scare me about the world. It's a way to dump it out of me so that I'm not holding on to it. And like I said, I'm an overthinker. So when I hear about a horrible tragedy that's happened to somebody, the first question that goes through my mind is, what if that were me? So all of my writing stems from the question, what if? Like, in trying to empathize and put myself in someone else's shoes.
Okay.
So I think, make sense of the world and give me a place to dump some of the thoughts that run through my head.
And inspire the rest of us, right, to do the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So your first novel, Bits and Pieces, what is the synopsis of this novel?
It is about a woman named Tessa. She was born with a gift, so to speak, although most of her life she felt like it was more of a curse. She picks up pieces of other people through touch, and she'll get a flash of color that will tell her that she's gained something new from them. And that's whatever she picks up doesn't manifest instantly. So if she gets a red flash, it's pain. If she gets a yellow flash, she knows she picked up a glimpse of that person's future. Purple, she's picked up some kind of skill or talent. Blue, she's picked up a pleasant memory. And orange, a painful memory. And it's hard for her because as she goes through life, she's picked up so many pieces of other people that she doesn't even know who she really is anymore, and she tends to isolate to compensate, protect herself. Well, she goes to therapy, and therapists with the best of intentions tell her, oh, get out in the world, get to know people, we need other people. And so she joins in a search for a local missing college student and has a flashlight she's never had before. It's like lightning and going through her body, and along with that flash, she has memories of the brutal murders of 5 women, and a madman takes over her mind and gives her cravings to kill. So she tries to find the killer before she completely loses herself, and to try to help save the next victim.
All right, that's a dark superhero right there. Is what it sounds like to me. No, that's an awesome concept though, seriously. And so listeners, definitely be sure to check out that book Bits and Pieces to find out about Tessa and how and what happens with these folks that she's going to help out. And yeah, that's awesome. So why did you choose Tessa as the name for this character?
Whenever I start to write, I don't plot ahead of time. I just let ideas. I usually start with one character and one plot idea, and then just let the words flow. And from the get-go, I just knew her name would be Tessa. And I originally had some backstory about her name in the book, but I ended up cutting that out. I like the meaning of her name. Tessa means harvester. And the other cool thing about Tessa is it's asset spelled backwards. Her parents had her later in life, and I think from the get-go, she was they knew she was different because all of her siblings and her parents, they start with the letter C, their names. And so the fact that they named her Tessa when everybody else's name starts with a C kind of was a signal that something was different about her. So I just liked the name, I liked the meaning, and I liked that it made her a bit different from the rest of her family.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Well, I want to let you know that you just taught me something, that Tessa is acid spelled backward. And, you live, I'd say for me, I lived 33 years and never thought of spelling, that Tessa spelled backwards is asset. That's a clever name and a clever meaning to have for your kid. It gives your name a whole another light in a sense. Let's see. So what made you believe you could be an author?
I didn't ever think to ask why I could. I guess I always had the opinion that if anyone could, why couldn't I? One, I've always been wordy. You can ask anyone in my life. So I like words, and I'm good with grammar and spelling, and I've always been an avid reader as well. So I guess, reading through the years, I've never just read a book like, oh, I'm going to sit down and enjoy this book. I do enjoy books, but I also always analyze what I'm reading. Like, oh, well, how did the author tell this story? And I think so. While I didn't go to school for writing, I schooled myself by reading.
Okay.
So I think the easiest answer is maybe I was too stubborn to realize I couldn't be an author.
That goes hand in hand with my statement that I have for myself. I'm too stubborn to fail. And it's so funny. I think that the answer you gave, I think, is the most motivational thing. I never said why I couldn't. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people tend to use the word, anybody that knows me, I hate the word can't. And that stems from, I was watching this Will Smith Words of Wisdom's video somebody put together on YouTube, and I never thought about this, but he was like, never use the word can't. It was like, he that says you can and he that says you can't are usually both right. And it just like a light bulb went off when I heard that. I was like, yeah, I'm never using that word again. And like, it limits us, you know, it limits our ability. And that's why I try to, you know, just explain. I become annoying to some that tend to use the word can't all the time. But I was like, yeah, it's not that you can't. It's that either you shouldn't, you won't, you don't, but it's not can't. But, you know.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's easy always to have that attitude, because especially like as my illness has gotten worse, I think physically there are things I can't do that I would like to do. And so it's a fine line of balancing like my stubbornness with my physical reality. So, but that's, like I said, it's a balance, and it's something I'm learning to do over time.
So Doc, where did you grow up? Like, what high school you went to? What were you like in high school? Were you one of the popular kids? Were you, part of debate teams?
I grew up in Lancaster, Ohio, which is a small town southeast of Columbus.
Okay.
I grew up in the country. Lived next door to my grandparents my entire life. There were actually 3 houses right in a row. Ours, my grandparents, and then my grandparents' old farmhouse, and different aunts and uncles had lived in there with their families throughout the years. My grandfather owned a 100-acre farm, and so we'd like to take walks back on his farm and traipse through the countryside. The funny thing is while I was raised in the country, I hated being outside. I hated bugs. I hated being hot. I remember when I was little, I was afraid to take walks at night because I was afraid of the stars. I mean, it was like I was not meant to live in the country as a child. But now as an adult, I enjoy the outside, and my mom laughed when I used to go camping a lot. She's like, is this the same child that hated the outside and bugs and stars? So, yeah, now I enjoy the outside. In high school, that was so long ago, who can remember? I wasn't involved in a lot. I worked from the age of 14. I started babysitting and then always had a job. So I didn't get involved in a lot of activities. And I don't feel like I was ever in a group per se. I feel like I kind of got along with everyone. So I had friends in the popular crowd. I had friends in the not so popular crowd. I feel like I just got along with most people.
So you're a domesticated teenager, basically. Domesticated, just you wanted to stay in the house all the time, and then you eventually came out of your shell. No, that's no, seriously, that's really good. I was going to ask you next. Okay, so are you intending on writing more books? And if so, what type of genre will they be?
Actually, Bits and Pieces was the second book I wrote, but the first to be published. The next book that will be released is called The End of Echoes, and it should be released sometime this summer. And it was actually the first book I wrote. It's more contemporary fiction, just not really suspenseful or anything like Bits and Pieces is.
No killers?
Well, yeah, somebody always dies. That's a common theme, I think. Somebody's always died. It is about a murder and the impact on the family. And there's a little bit of whodunit and trying to figure that out, but not the same level of suspense. That one dives more into how it psychologically impacted the family. And then the third book I'm currently writing, and like I said, I don't plot, so I think it's a psychological thriller. I won't know until I'm done. So I'm about 50,000, 60,000 words into it right now, and I think it's a psychological thriller. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then eventually I will write a sequel to Bits and Pieces. I started one right after I finished it, and I just needed a break from Tessa. And if you read the book, you'll see why. It's just a very intense book. And I joked with my publisher before, right when I was going through the edits with Bits and Pieces, I said, if I write a sequel right now, the first sentence is going to be Tessa dies. I'm going to kill her because
like,
she's on my nerves. So I needed to take a little break, but eventually I will write a sequel to it.
yeah, you're like a Game of Thrones writer. You know, it's unpredictable who's gonna die. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask one more thing from a job related perspective, and then we'll get into some I would say some fun stuff. So how was it having a career as a social worker?
I loved it. As you and I talked a little bit beforehand, I really enjoy people. I like getting to know other people's stories. I believe that our job as humans is to help give other people hope and to lift other people up and to make a difference in their lives when we can. And even if that's just a smile at somebody who looks like they're having a rough day, or a hug, or just taking a moment to listen. And so I really am passionate about people, but on the other hand, because I have so much empathy for people, it took a toll physically and mentally. I think it's very easy to get discouraged. I was a chemical dependency counselor for years, and when you see people relapse and continue to suffer really bad consequences, it takes a toll. It was hard, but at the same time, when you see that one person make a change, it's enough to keep you going for a while.
Yeah, because my brother, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's a form of social worker. What he does, he goes to different, he got different clients, and he'll go like young kids ranging from like, I don't know, maybe 8 to 15, and troubled youth, and he'll go in there and just talk with them, be with them. And he's another person that can talk. I mean, I can talk, but that young man can talk you under the table. and when he hears this interview, I'm sure he's gonna be like, "Oh Lord, he's talking about me." Yes, he knows he can talk it. Our grandmother's like, she tries to rush. I mean, she rushed both of us, but definitely tries to rush him off the phone, because again, it will talk you like, he'll talk you senseless. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But it's just something, certain qualities that people have. It's very, very funny. I want to ask you about, like I say, what led you to wanting to get tested for Crohn's disease? Like, what symptoms did you have?
I was having symptoms, and I didn't even realize they were symptoms until my vision started to change. Like, I couldn't focus on things correctly, and at the time I worked for a local school district and had to be on the computer a lot, and I just noticed my eyesight was changing. And so that's what started the process. But in addition to that, just extreme pain, a lot of abdominal pain, exhaustion. I could not keep food in my body. Like, I at that point had lost so much weight. And so they started me on the process, but any person with autoimmune diseases can probably relate to this. It took them over 6 months to give me a diagnosis. I mean, I heard everything from doctors telling me it was anxiety and that's what was making me sick, or it was a migraine. I got tested for MS. I mean, it was so much. And to get that diagnosis, it's basically a process of elimination. Like, oh, well, you don't have X, Y, and Z, so maybe you have A, B, C. And it was a very long process. And I was so thankful. I finally, no offense to men, but at one point, all my doctors were male, and I'm like, okay, nobody is listening to me. So I got rid of all my male doctors, switched to all female doctors, and the first time meeting with my new doctor, she had never met me before. She looked at me and she said, "You're really sick. We're going to put you in the hospital until we figure out what's wrong with you." And I was like, oh, thank God. Somebody finally can, see that I'm dying here. And so I'm a firm proponent in female physicians. From that point on, I'm like, go women.
Yeah, I see. I'm gathering that much right now. It's so sexist. It's such a sexist statement. No, I get it. I get it. The whole aspect of, again, us not listening. That is The Mars versus Venus saga goes on, and it goes on and on. You have some of the. I'm sure just from being married, I'm sure you've had those things where you feel like your husband is not listening, or even being a mother, your kid's not listening to you. So
exactly, it's like, what language are we speaking? We're speaking completely different languages.
Yeah.
We need a translator.
So, but what's it like living with Crohn's? Like, I would say on a day-to-day basis. Like how do you deal?
Well, it's exhausting. I think that's the thing that affects me the most, is how tired I am all the time. And it does not matter how much sleep I get. I can sleep for 24 hours or I can sleep for 2 hours, and I'm never going to feel awake when my disease is in a flare. It's painful, with physically and emotionally. Couldn't tell you the last time that I had a pain-free day. Usually my first thought in the morning before my feet hit the floor is, I hurt. And that takes a toll emotionally, because you feel like you don't have control over your life. And, when I do activities, even if it's something really fun and I'm really looking forward to it, like let's say our family takes a week-long vacation, it will take me then 3 times as long to recover from that fun. And then it's frustrating because I feel like I don't have control over my life. So I may plan to go to lunch with a friend and really be looking forward to it, and then have to cancel it. And it's also frustrating having an invisible illness, because I would be a very wealthy woman if I had $1 for every time somebody said, but you look great. It's like, okay, my outside does not match my inside. If I'm making an effort to be in public, I'm going to put on a happy face and act like I'm okay.
Yeah.
But just because I look okay on the outside doesn't mean I am okay. And it's just hard to have a body that hates itself. It's like my body does not like itself and wants to destroy itself, and that's difficult.
It's time to get into the fun side of Dawn, getting to know Dawn. So I want to start off with, what is your perfect cup of coffee?
Oh, and I love coffee. My perfect cup of coffee is strong with a lot of creamer. I go through a lot of Coffee Mate, unflavored. I don't like the flavored stuff, but yeah, people always joke, you need a little coffee with your cream there. Yeah, and if it's in one of my favorite mugs, that makes it even taste better.
For me, I'm not much of a coffee drinker myself, but when I do drink coffee, it sounds like the Dos Equis commercial, but I have I would say French vanilla latte that they have. It's like a machine that we have on base at the shop and it has different type of flavors for coffee. And French vanilla latte is like it smells amazing, tastes amazing to me. But I'm not really big on I don't have to, how some people just have to have, don't talk to me until I have my coffee. For me, it's don't talk to me until it's 12 o'clock anyway, because why are we talking it before 12 anyway? It's too early for this.
I prefer that as well. Let me have my coffee and don't talk to me till 12. Two conditions there.
Yeah, exactly. So if you could travel to any destination in the world, where would you go?
That's a hard question. I've never been overseas, and so that bucket list item, I'd love to visit so many places overseas: France, Italy, Spain, Germany, you name it. I'd love to just be able to take a couple of months and just travel around. So eventually I will get there. That's a goal.
So I know you mentioned in your biography how much you like HGTV. So I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite show on HGTV?
I would say it's a tie between Fixer Upper and Hometown. I just like the rapport that the couples have with each other, and it's more than just fixing up a house. It's like watching their interactions. And then, of course, I like House Hunters because people are ridiculous, and it's good to just laugh, at people's reactions and budgets that they have when like some of these budgets people have, and they're like a part-time, I don't know, weaver or something. And I'm like, how can you afford a house that's $1.5 million? Come on now.
Yeah. All
Those
right.
are my three favorites.
Okay. What's the best place to nap in your house?
My bed. I've got a sleep number bed, and it's perfect.
Oh, wow. So who would you say is your biggest supporter?
Lifelong supporter would be my mom. She has always believed in me, and she's like the true picture of unconditional love. And then I would say my husband, especially in terms of my writing, because he's seen me go through the whole process of trying to get an agent and a publisher and crying and saying, I quit, this is pointless. And he's always encouraged me like, no, this is what you're meant to do. Keep writing, keep trying. My kids, in their own way, are my biggest supporters, especially now. 3 of them are adults now, and so it's been nice to have that adult relationship with them, and they are so encouraging and supporting now. And then I have a solid group of friends in real life that are my constant cheerleaders. And then I have to give a shout out to the writing community on Twitter, because they have really helped me in the last year. I joined Twitter about a year ago, and I've met some amazing people that have become very good friends. And they just cheer me on. They celebrate my successes. They give me faith in my work. I'd say between those 4, I've got a pretty solid base of people that I can count on.
All right, cool. Well, we'll go to the other side of things. And who is your biggest hater?
That's to be determined. I don't know. I really don't know if I have a hater. But I'm sure time will tell. I'm sure the hater
time will reveal.
Will come out of the woodwork.
Time will definitely reveal who are the haters of the world.
Exactly.
Of course. You said it's been what, 20 years for you, almost 20 years for you and your husband being married. So how did you realize that he was the one?
Funny story. We're a blended family, so this is a second marriage for both of us.
Okay.
And our older kids were very young when we got together. So my son was 2 and his daughters were 3 and 5, and I always joke that he used the kids to suck me in. Even I worked together, and we were very good friends, and then he brought these darling little girls in, and I fell in love. He knew my weakness, but I feel like it was just meant to be. We had a very good friendship for about 6 months before we ever started dating. We had both been through a lot and could relate on that level. And then he used the kids to suck me in. So, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So, what are some of the challenges of motherhood for you?
Well, I have a son that is 12, and those preteen and teenage years, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I can't even believe I survived it 3 times already, because I just look at him and I'm like, what demon has possessed my sweet child? Where did he go? So that's definitely the biggest challenge. And then I think too, letting them grow and letting them go and spread their wings. Our daughter lives in Long Beach, California right now. I have a son in DC, and so it's hard for them to be gone and out on their own. And then I mentioned I'm an anxious person, so of course that fear and anxiety that comes with being a parent, worry. I just worry all the time.
Natural. That's natural for I would say a mother, but even just parents alone. Well, of course you've already gone through this, but I'm about to have a 15-year-old daughter, so it's like seeing your kid go from us playing at Chuck E. Cheese and like getting as many tokens as possible to play, and then to her getting her nails done and her wanting to order hair and like getting different clothes. It's like, where does time go? This individual is starting to shape out, and she's taller than her mother and even taller than her uncle for that matter. My brother's fairly short. But it's just your transformation process. It's like almost surreal. Like, cause I don't feel like when I look in the mirror, I don't feel like I've aged. But this kid is she's becoming a young woman, So it's like, wow, like where where does time go? Is where you have to you ask yourself all the time, where does time go, and just know that you're trying to do your best to make sure that she's able to survive in this world on her own, because again, there's 3 years from being 18 to being actually legal. So it's like, for me,
right.
I want to make sure that my daughter understands the pressures of the world and how to deal with them when she gets out there. Know that her parents are there for her, but being able to exist on her own, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's having the 3 older kids, I mean, I'm so proud of all of them and seeing the paths they've chosen and the decisions they make. But it's still, it's just scary because things happen and things go wrong, and you question, like, did I give you what you need to be able to do life and do it successfully? And people complain about having babies and toddlers. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so easy. They love you. They just want to cuddle. They want to hug. They want to play. I mean, give me a toddler.
They want to be around you. Yeah, I'll say that.
Exactly. They like you.
So which of your kids would you say is most like you?
The poor things, they all have some of my qualities. Like, let's hope it's some of the good ones. My oldest son, he is probably the most like me, or at least the most like I was at his age. He's got some of my stubbornness and being opinionated and very big moral compass of what's fair and unfair, and that everything should just be just and fair in the world. A bit of sarcasm and very driven. So I'd say he's the most like me, but then when I look at all of my kids, they all have a lot of pieces of me, and it's interesting to see how that happens. Like, the second oldest daughter, she's a planner like I am. She loves her calendars and making to-do lists and just being kind of in control of her environment. And she's an overthinker like I am. But she's also got that kindness and that understanding of other people. My youngest son, he's got my soft heart. Like, even though he's a snarky teenager right now and very sarcastic, he still is very compassionate and tender-hearted. It's so I can relate to him on that level. And then our oldest daughter, she's an overthinker like I am, very driven. She's got kind of a hard exterior, but a huge heart, like she protects herself behind her walls.
Jelly bean. A jelly bean. That's what we call a jelly bean right there, hard exterior and very, very soft on the inside, just
exactly.
very protective.
She would hate me even saying that, but I know the truth.
Yeah. So what are 5 of your favorite books?
The Hate You Give. Have you read that? By Andy Thomas.
I've seen the movie and I cried. I'll tell you that. I cried seeing it. Yeah, a good friend of mine, she read the book, and she told me about it. So I'm aware of it.
It was powerful. That's one I think every single person should read. Leaving Time by Jodie Picoult's another one. Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I Know This Much Is True by Wally Lamb. And then a more technical writing book that is just brilliant is Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott.
Okay. All right. So
it's hard to choose just 5. Trust me.
So do you have a favorite author?
Jodie Picoult, definitely. She is just brilliant with her words and her storytelling. I'm usually a really, really fast reader, but her books I force myself to read slowly because she's just brilliant. And I love the way she phrases things, and so she by far is my favorite. Who
would you have play the leading role in Bits and Pieces if it were to become a motion picture, dead or alive?
Wow. I'd say Jennifer Lawrence.
Wow.
Because
I like that.
Just amazing, and I think she'd do a great job.
I like that choice. Yeah, she definitely. I love her work. Yeah, Hunger Games, she did great. The worst X-Men, she did great. But that movie where it was like, I think it was based on a true story. They were like all a part of like selling drugs or something, and they had like that 70s fashion. I forget the name of it, but it was her. It was Bradley Cooper. It was Amy Adams.
Barrow. Or
No, I don't think it was that. It was they had a lot of like 70s is like disco fashion. It was like the fashion for the movie alone is just amazing. Like whoever styled that movie was just it captured that time frame. I wish I could remember it. It came out in 2013, 2014. Time frame.
I need to look that one up. I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, yeah, I think you'd love it. I think you'd love it if you saw that. So yeah, so interesting though. Jennifer Lawrence. Okay, so what would you go back and say to 17-year-old you?
Make better choices. And to invest in myself instead of relationships, and to have some belief in myself. I think. I mean, I just. As I said, I'm on a second marriage, and my first husband and I got together when we were I was 17, and we dated all through college, and then we got married at 22, just because it was the next thing we were supposed to do, and right. I wouldn't recommend getting into that serious of a relationship at that young. I just think it's destined to fail. So make better choices.
Yeah, well, hopefully you kids are. Yeah, hopefully you kids are listening to that right there. So definitely don't rush into it. So who is your celebrity crush?
The Rock, because he's amazing.
Yeah.
His roles are just killer. I feel like it shows his personality, and he seems like a down-to-earth person as well. So yeah, The Rock.
Well, I'm going to tamper into that whole thing with The Rock and his roles real quick with you, because it's so funny. We talk about this all the time at work. All action films, I feel like all his action films are roughly the same. He always has a family to save. He's always running. And let's see, always shiny too. Of course, that's for the ladies, of course. But I don't know. What did you think of that when he played Hercules? I didn't. I'll be honest. I didn't care too much for his role in Hercules.
I haven't seen it.
That's one movie you won't really care too much for. Doom and Hercules are probably The Rock's worst films, at least from me as a fan. I'm a big fan of The Rock myself, from even just the wrestling days, like being an avid wrestling fan. I would say retro wrestling fan, not so much of the current, but just the golden era, like the Hogan eat your vitamins, say your prayers days.
Yeah.
That was my childhood right there. But yeah, like The Rock's movies, they tend to roughly be like the same and stuff. But I mean, he pulls it off. Like for instance, like San Andreas, Skyscraper,
right.
And they all run together. At least to me.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems like he's being typecasted a little bit, but I liked him, and I really did like him in the Game Plan. I thought the Game Plan was pretty good. I don't know if you've seen that one, but the Game Plan was really good. Him, going back to his early roles, starting in like Be Cool, and them having him play like I would say a homosexual character. It was funny. It's different. Yeah. He's getting his feet wet in Hollywood, but he's tearing the game up now. I think he's top gross. I think he's top gross actor in Hollywood right now. So I think that's.
Did you watch Jumanji?
Yeah. Well, Jumanji was good. So I'll give him that much credit. Jumanji was good. Pain and Gain was great. I'm sure ladies really like Pain and Gain for both Mark Wahlberg and The Rock. Yeah. You guys are horrible. You guys are animals. But
they know what sucks the ladies in.
Yeah.
And they just cater to that.
Exactly. But that's so that's great. The Rock. And how does your husband feel about that?
Actually, we've been together all this time, and I think it just came up in the last year. And so now he teases me. He's like, if he wants to get me to watch something, he's like, The Rock's in it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, let's go.
So he uses it to his advantage.
That's great. I was like, oh, honey, I want to go see the Avengers. The Rock is starring in it. He's Captain America. That's great. That's cool.
Exactly. Gets me to watch movies I normally wouldn't choose.
They're they got Aladdin coming out this summer. The Rock is playing Jafar. I know, we'll check that out. That'd be cool. So what's the hardest part of your creative process? I know you said you got times where you were frustrated and wanted to quit. I, doing this podcast thing, can relate to that. But for you, what's the hardest part of your creative process?
Other than that rejection from agents and just trying to get published, I would say overcoming the self-doubt and ignoring the voices in my head telling me I have no idea what I'm doing, which I think every writer struggles with, and that's probably one of the most helpful things about being on Twitter and part of the writing community is realizing that we all have those voices that tell us, just quit, like, who are you to write a book? Nobody cares what you have to say. And just realizing that, hey, every single writer goes through this, so just tell those voices to shut up and keep writing.
Yeah.
So I think that's the hardest part.
So what type of music do you listen to? I'm a big music fan across the board. Doesn't even matter the genre. So I'm very interested to know what type of music that you're into.
I really like everything except country. And
wow.
there's a couple of country
oh my
songs
God.
I even like.
I think I can change your mind on that with one song in particular, as Better Man by Little Big Town. It will capture your soul when you hear that song. That song is great. It's really good. It's a really good song.
I just wrote the name down, so check it out.
Yeah, Little Big Town, Better Man, and Carrie Underwood or Randy Travis, I Told You So. Those two songs in particular, like of the country music that I have listened to in my life, those two songs stick out the most to me.
I will give those a listen. I mean, I do. There's a few by Kenny Chesney I like, and Carrie Underwood.
Oh, Carrie's great. Carrie's really good.
My kids tease me because I, have this collection of songs that I keep on a flash drive for my vehicle, and it's the same songs I probably listened to for the past 20 years. They're like, okay, can you make a new playlist?
Nope,
like,
not at all. They're probably timeless. Run them down for me. What is on this flash drive? I must know.
There's some Green Day. There's some Elvis Costello, David Bowie, Simple Plan. I should know it by heart. It's just such a variety, and it goes Beatles, so Queen, Pink Floyd.
Queen is everything.
So a little bit of everything, and that's why I like it. It's an eclectic mixture.
Queen is everything to me. I was crazy excited when I saw that they were finally getting a movie for it. And it just made me love it even more. I don't know if you guys had a chance to go see Bohemian Rhapsody, but they did really well. They did really, really good with the storyline for following the group.
That's one on our to watch list. Since we have the 12-year-old, a lot of what we watch is determined by his choices. But my husband and I are like, okay, that's one we've got to see.
For sure, Bohemian Rhapsody is one that you definitely want to see. Being you're a music fan as well. So who would you say is your favorite music artist, if you can even narrow it down to one?
If I had to choose, I'd say David Bowie, just because I think he was a brilliant musician and songwriter.
It's a visual artist.
I went to him in concert several times.
Yeah, just easy. He provided a great visual to his music. With his artistry, the way his style. His style was just phenomenal, and just the impact that he had on music itself, breaking a lot of barriers.
He and Prince. I feel like they're kind of in the same category. They both had that same visual aspect and breaking the barriers and
androgynous. It was androgynous look to them, and it works so well. It's very interesting. Like, had it not been for, I say, folks like David Bowie, and he did that, like when he went on, he had an MTV interview. I'm pretty sure you remember it. I saw it through like it was like CNN, the documentary, like the 80s or whatever, and they were talking about music, and he was talking about trying to get, like, the reason they weren't playing any black artists on MTV, and David Bowie had questioned that. He's like, you guys won't even play, like Michael's got this hit record, you guys won't even play his video on MTV, and that's how they got into playing. Was it Billie Jean? I thought that was pretty cool that he stood up for that.
Yeah, and he wasn't just all about himself and his own career. He was about lifting other people up.
Exactly.
Need more of that.
Yeah. So, do you have any tattoos?
No, and here's why. When I was a child, my great-grandmother had tattoos, and that was back in the day before many people had tattoos. And I just remember, by that time she was old, so her tattoos were saggy and gross. And so whenever I thought about getting a tattoo, I'm like, how is this going to look when I'm 80? Like, no, I don't want a saggy tattoo. So yeah, none for me.
Yeah. Would you allow your teenager to get a tattoo if he wanted one?
One thing I've learned is that they don't care what I have to say when they're teenagers. Once they're 18, it's their choice what they want to do.
Yeah.
All three of our adult kids have tattoos, so I tried to tell them my story about my great-grandmother, and they just didn't listen. So when they have saggy tattoos, I'm just going to say, I told you so.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I got my first tattoo I got when I was 22 years old. I had a funny story about that. I had an anxiety attack while getting my first tattoo. It was prayer hands with rosary beads, and I didn't even realize that the rosary beads were related to being Catholic. I just like the way the design looked on my look how it looks on my shoulder. And I'm sitting there and I'm working. It's like, you just, because you worried about how it was going to feel, like that needle in getting a tattoo, and then it finally hits you, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, it's not so bad. Then it just started to get like really, really hot in there, and I told the tattoo guy, I was like, yo, I gotta get up. I gotta get up, and they're like, no, get up. So they went and got me a soda. They got me a can of Coke or whatever to give me like a rush so I could calm the hell down. And that was and one of my best friends, Ashton, he's sitting across from me. Ashton doesn't have any tattoos, but he's looking at me like freaking out, and like his eyes are priceless, like watching me sit about to stand up because I'm getting this tattoo. So that's
hilarious.
That's a funny story. That was you had to be there to see that, just to see Ashton's face. He looked scared. He looked definitely afraid of what was going on at the time. So
you should have recorded his reaction.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
Yeah, it'd been great to have, phones like smartphones. This is back, 2007? Yeah, so yeah, 2007 been great to have the iPhone, whatever number, and being able to do that. But as we see now, it wasn't that big, that popular. And so speaking of which, what are your thoughts on social media?
I think it's necessary in today's world, especially if you need any kind of platform for writing or podcast or whatever. I found, like I told you earlier, I found some of my dearest friends through social media, and some of them I've never met in real life, but I feel close to them. It helps me to connect with people who've read my book or other writers, but I've also experienced the downside of having people misconstrue something I've said and blowing it way out of proportion. So I think it's good, but you have to be okay with some of the negativity that comes, and really be strong in the face of some of that, because like I had one vicious troll attack, and then a bunch of people started attacking me over something really silly, and it really bothered me for a few days. And it gave me some understanding why social media is so hard for kids.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm an adult woman, and why should I care what these people think?
Yep.
They totally misconstrued what I said. But yeah, I can see why kids get so hurt by it.
Yeah, it happens that that way, and like the best thing you do is log off, and they no longer exist, honestly, or block them or what have you. I mean, it's easy. I'll say this: it's easy to talk shit when you're not in the same place with that individual. Like, would you say that to me if you were right in my face? You know what I'm saying? Like that's where I feel about that whole thing. Like, I'm not into like that trolling stuff or how people talk trash or try to get into I don't know, internet fights. Like, well, why would I why would even like say that I'm gonna knock you out or what have you, get into that with you, because we're over the internet, and chances are we're probably not even gonna meet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And some people, what I see is, like, I think some people have an agenda on social media, and they look for things to get upset about.
Exactly.
And read into things incorrectly. And, my motto on social media, as well as I try in life, is to just be nice. Be kind to each other, because me interacting with someone on social media, it may be the only interaction that person has in a day with someone in the outside world. And why not use that interaction to lift them up and make their life better? And if I don't have anything nice to say, maybe I just need to not say it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think more people need to learn that.
Yeah, everybody has an opinion. And yes, you're entitled to have that opinion, but I mean, come on.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
Hopefully still writing. By then we will be empty nesters. And hopefully by then one of my older children will have grandkids. Hint, hint. So I would like to do more traveling and then kind of see where the majority of my kids live and perhaps move to that area, especially if there's grandchildren involved.
So what's one thing you could improve about yourself?
Let me start the list now. My health. Yeah, my health, and therefore my weight, exercising more, just taking better care of myself. It's always a goal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Dawn, I gotta tell you, I had the most fun conducting this interview with you this morning. As well, it's been a pleasure learning about your book. That we both have a common interest, that we don't do height that great. No standing on ledges. Musically in sync. It's just been awesome. But where can your fans find you?
I'm on Twitter at Dawn Hosmer 7, on Instagram at Dawn871. I have a website, dawnhosmer.com, and then of course I'm on like BookBub, Goodreads, Amazon, and Facebook. I'm all over the place.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, you got to have the platform. That's what you have to do for the platform of being an author in this day and age. We're making sure you have multiple avenues for people to reach you. So yeah, that's
exactly.
Yeah, that's super awesome. Yeah. Well, did you have anything for me? Any questions you might have for me, even being on air that you might have?
My one question is, what made you start this podcast?
I wanted to have a voice, and how you talk about your depression and anxiety. I feel like this was my way of, I guess, expressing myself. And naturally, I'm like I said, I'm not really much of a people person, so it's kind of weird that like having a podcast and talking to the world just about anything, any and everything, and being an open book. I just wanted to have a voice and be a voice for those who don't have it, and just to kind of like inspire others and get and have a place where people like yourself can come on and talk about themselves. As much as like we said, we know you hate talking about yourself. But just having that platform where people can come there and, because I've seen places where like a lot of folks won't, I would say, be, I don't know, be shown. Like nobody wants to highlight you, or like they don't no one believes in you enough, and then they won't, won't have you on. But for me, it's just like, if you're telling me, if you talk to me and you say like you're serious about what you do, serious about your craft, I want to create that platform for you to come on and speak about that, and that'll help boost your career, or whatever you want to do with it. And in the end, that's the reward in it for me, being able to help others. Something that's really just doing something bigger than yourself. And that's what I feel like what I'm doing with having this podcast, and trying to help people, get their, I would say, get their sound, get their name and their brands put out there. So, and I can say I had a hand in doing that.
Exactly. That's awesome, and I appreciate that you are doing it.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me and let me talk about myself, even though I hate it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like I said, I loved it. So like I would love for you to come back on for, like, let's say, another episode somewhere down the line. Let's say for your next book, we'll come up there and we'll talk about David Bowie, or whoever, after we discuss a little bit of the the ins and outs of that particular book that you would be promoting. But I think that'd be awesome. That'd be fun.
Well, definitely. Let's stay in touch, and I'd love to.
So, guys, if you're listening, I had author Dawn Hosmer on, and be sure to check out her book, Bits and Pieces. But from Romey-Mak, this is the interview with Rome, and we're out.